Hello and thanks for watching Doc G's Reloading. This is a very basic introduction into the operation of the Dillon XL750. I could never find a video like this when I was looking for the machine. Not that it really mattered, but I wanted to put something out there so that people could understand exactly what's going on at each station, especially if they're coming from a single stage reloading to a progressive reloader. I did single stage reloading for decades, and this was my first progressive machine. I thought about getting the 1050 machine, which is now the 1100, although I was going to get the 650 machine, but then they came out with the 750 with those upgrades to it, which does make it a lot nicer. It's a great machine, easily 600 an hour to 1,000 an hour. I'll show some of that at the end. Hopefully this is a informative video for you, and hopefully you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Alright, this is Doc G Reloading, and I appreciate you watching this video. This is the basic operation of the Dillon XL750. I have the optional case feeder there. If you don't, that's fine. It really doesn't affect the operation. What I do have on the front here is a pair of safety glasses. I put them on the front for a reason, so I never forget to put them on. Now, we all know that the odds of something going wrong are pretty slim, but always wear the proper safety equipment whenever you're doing anything, and in this case I would always wear safety glasses. Okay, where we're going to start off is right here. Starting off, we're going to go up to station 1, and this is the mechanism here that's spring loaded, and it pushes your case into station 1, which is right here, which is where the depriming and reshaping of the case will occur. Now on this, there's an angled piece of plastic, and you can kind of see there's this bar in the way here, but you can see the front here has a different angle than the back of it here. You would turn it around and have this facing forward if you were doing rifle cases, and you have this facing forward if you're doing pistol cases. We're doing 9mm here, so this is a pistol case. This is going to come up, it's going to actuate this switch here, which feeds your cases from your feed tube down onto the feed ramp. So we'll do this here. We'll pull back on the lever. You can see it's going to actuate that, and then you're going to have a case drop. Here it dropped, there's your case. The case just dropped onto the feed ramp. You always go all the way up, just get in the habit of doing that. And then when you come down, that switch is going to deactivate and reload a new case in, and it's going to allow this whole arm to move forward and to then allow the case to go into position 1 on the faceplate. And always push forward on your primer arm. It's spring loaded, and we'll get into that later, but just get in the habit. You're always going to be pushing forward on it anyway. We're just starting here with an empty shell plate so you can get the idea. Alright, so we have a case there. Now we're going to go up again, and this is going to come up and go into station 1. And now 4 things have just happened. Okay, we've deprimed and reshaped that case there with that die back to factory specs. We've loaded another case right there on the feed ramp, ready to go down into the first position. That's number 3, because we've deprimed and resized a new case, and the powder or the primer arm here has come back and loaded a primer, and we'll see this as we come down with the ram. You're going to see it move forward, and then you're going to see there's the primer head with the primer in it, and then that's going to come and go underneath the shell plate. And as that rotates on to stage 2, now if I don't push forward, you're going to see that this case right now has no primer in it. Okay, but now what we're going to do is we're going to put that back in. That's of course easier said than done. Okay, and then now I'm going to push forward on the arm, and that's going to, just by doing that, I can feel a little resistance, and that seats the primer that was just underneath there from the primer arm. And if you pull out this case, you can see that it's now reprimed with a brand new primer ready to go. And if you look at the actual press, you can see right there, there's the primer head pushing that primer in. If there was a primer on top, it would be in a cup right there, and then it would push it into the bottom of the case. So we've got the case there, we've got it primed and ready to go for powder, and in the meantime we've also positioned a new case here ready to go into station 1. Okay, so now we pulled back on the handle, and this shell plate indexes on the bottom of the stroke. Okay, so right now we're in station 2, and you can see that this is a powder funnel right there. You can see that funnel hanging down that it's going into. That's a powder funnel. This one's a little different than the standard Dillon. This one puts a little shoulder on the case and doesn't really flare the mouth like the bell of a trumpet. It just puts a shoulder around it that allows you to seat the bullet. I think it puts less stress on the case. May make the case last longer. That's a topic of discussion some other time. But as you go up with the ram, it's going to put a shoulder on it so that you can seat the bullet, and this is where your powder dispenser is. So your powder dispenser has now dispensed powder on there. Okay, and there's also this fail-safe arm here, which means that if I come back down and I go back up 2 or 3 more times, it's not going to add powder each time I go up. That fail-safe arm has to come all the way down in order for that powder dispenser to reset. So only when I get to the bottom of the stroke, you'll see it comes off there. So we've got powder dispensed, and then here's your fail-safe arm right there. So watch, as this arm comes down, you're going to see the powder dispenser arm go all the way forward. Now you get to the bottom, and boom, it pulls it forward, so it reloads it with powder, ready to go again on the next case. And now that we're on to station 3 here, you can see that that case has got powder in it. You see the powder in it there. So powder's been dispensed and the case mouth has been flared, so you can set the bullet in it. Now I have a powder check station. Some people might opt to put a bullet feeding station here. I just do a powder check. This is a Dillon, I'm sorry, the Double Alpha Academy, not the Dillon version of the powder check station and die, and I like it better, and I'll get into that in another video. But this is going to check the powder and make sure I have the right amount of powder in it. And you can see in the meantime we've already added a new case, and we've got another case waiting that's been primed, ready to go for powder and flaring again. Okay, so now we're going to come up again, and you can see that little plunger go into the case, and then it comes up, and then there's no alarm. So if there was too much powder or too little powder, you'd hear that. But that's not happening, which is good, because that's been set to this powder charge. And that checks the powder, and I know everything's great. So as I come down again, now see this angled piece of plastic here? This is what causes the shell plate to index. It's going to hit that little roller there, and it's going to move the shell plate forward. So as we hit that roller, you can see the shell plate index, and that pushes it on to the next station. Now this station here, since I have a powder check in, I have to do the bullets by hand. Okay, so I don't mind it. I enjoy doing it. Now this just sets in here, just that easy. Boom. And it doesn't have to be in there perfect. It can be in there at a slight angle. Doesn't matter, because it's going to be going up into the seating die. But you can see how the case mouth is not belled. It just has a little shoulder on it, which is nice. It makes it really easy to set the bullet in there without it tipping to one side. It's actually with that powder funnel made by Unique Tech. I've never had a bullet be way over on its side and not go into the seating die. So it's a nice feature, and it allows me to actually be a little bit quicker with reloading, because I just set the bullet in there and off I go. Now these little blue tabs here allow you to, they come out, so if you needed to, you could go ahead and pull this bullet out and examine it, or if you had too little or too much of a powder charge, you could remedy that problem at this stage. But that's what these pins are for, and I have the little grabbers on there, so the little tabs so they're easier to grab and keep track of so you don't lose them. But now we're on to the seating stage here. So this, as this ram goes up, and you can see now if I push forward, that's when it's priming, that's neutral. Okay, that's just sitting there. Forward is priming, so you'll be priming in station 2, and when you let go, it just springs back up to the neutral position. Okay, now all of the well, 4 of the 5 stations are loaded here with cases and at varying stages here. So now we're going to go up and we're going to seat that bullet. That goes into the seating die, and I have a different seating die on there than usual. I like it, and we'll get into that again in another video. So that bullet's been seated. Now as I come down, you can see that it's seated and ready to go. This one here has been powder checked, ready to go. We're going to come down again. It's going to rotate again, and it's going to go. I'm going to prime as I push forward, and this last stage here, there's a die there as well, which is the Dillon, Lee factory crimp die. So the Lee carbide factory crimp die, I think, is one of the best dies on the market. I think it's head and shoulder superior over any other crimping die. It just does a beautiful job, very consistent, needs very little adjustment, and that's going to put a crimp on this before we go on to the next stage where it drops into the bin. Okay, so now I have to put another bullet in here so that we don't lose track. Okay, and then what we're going to do is pull down on the handle again, and that's going to go up into that last die, and it just got factory crimp applied to it. Now as this case indexes, shell plate indexes here, you're going to see there's this wire across the shell plate that doesn't move. You can see that wire there. Now the finished cartridge on its way down is going to hit that, and it's just going to, that pushes the finished cartridge off into your storage bin. So that one's done. And then we come down, push forward again, because we're always priming in station 2. So when you pull back, you're always going to push forward on the lever. It's not like single stage reloading. And then you just get used to putting a bullet on here every time. And again, it's so easy, they just set right on there. And that gives you an idea of what happens at all 4 stages. And then over here, I have a little bit of a, and we'll talk about this later, but I have a little custom chute there that drops my bullets down into a bin here, and I collect them there on a little bit larger bin than the stock bin that came with the Dillon. Alright, now that we've got the overview of how it works and what happens at each stage, and also the powder failsafe mechanism, which really kind of prevents you from ever putting in a double charge. It's basically what happens to get you all the way through from the fired case to the finished refilled cartridge. All right, now we're going to look at what it looks like at full speed, and I can do easily between 600 to 800 rounds an hour easily. Sometimes close to 1,000, depends on how quickly I go. We'll cover that in the next clip. Okay, here we go. This will show how fast you can comfortably go on the Dillon XL750 for reloading if you're not using a bullet feeder. I am using a case feeder, and you're going to hear that feed cases as we go along here. So we'll just show you what you can do at a good pace here. Here we go. Alright, that gives you an idea of how quickly you can go. Hopefully this was informative, and look for some more videos later. Again, I thank you very much for watching.